Welcome to World Explained, a channel where we break down complex global topics in a clear, structured, and neutral way. In this video, we explore the geopolitics of the Suez Canal and explain why a narrow strip of water in northeastern Africa has become one of the most important strategic choke points in the world. The Suez Canal is an artificial waterway located in Egypt that connects the Mediterranean Sea with the Red Sea. By linking Europe directly with the Indian Ocean, the canal eliminates the need for ships to sail around the southern tip of Africa. This single geographic shortcut has reshaped global trade, military strategy, and international politics for more than 150 years. To understand why the Suez Canal matters so much, it is important to start with geography. Before the canal existed, ships traveling between Europe and Asia had to pass around the Cape of Good Hope, a long and dangerous route that added thousands of kilometers and weeks of travel time. The Suez Canal reduced this journey dramatically, cutting distances between Europe and Asia by roughly 40% in some cases. This change transformed global shipping economics almost overnight. The idea of linking the Mediterranean and Red Seas is ancient. Variations of canals existed in the region as early as ancient Egypt, connecting the Nile to the Red Sea. However, the modern Suez Canal emerged in the 19th century. During an era of European imperial expansion and industrialization, construction began in the 1850s and relied heavily on forced local labor under harsh conditions. When the canal officially opened in 1869, it was celebrated as an engineering triumph and a symbol of modern global connectivity. From the beginning, the canal was not just an economic project but also a geopolitical one. European powers quickly recognized its strategic value. Control over the canal meant control over trade routes between Europe, Asia, and East Africa. For the British Empire in particular, the canal became essential to maintaining rapid access to India, the empire's most important colony. Britain eventually secured dominant influence over the canal and Egypt itself, effectively turning the waterway into a key pillar of imperial power. Throughout the late 19th and early 20th centuries, the Suez Canal served as a strategic artery for global trade and military movement. During both world wars, the canal was a vital objective. Its closure or capture would have disrupted supply lines and naval operations across multiple continents. Protecting the canal became synonymous with protecting global power projection. After the Second World War, the global political landscape began to change. European colonial empires weakened, and newly independent states sought to assert sovereignty over their territory and resources. In 1956, Egyptian President Gamal Abdel Nasser nationalized the Suez Canal, triggering one of the most significant geopolitical crises of the Cold War era. Britain, France, and Israel launched a military intervention to regain control. But international pressure, particularly from the United States and the Soviet Union, forced them to withdraw. The Suez Crisis marked a turning point in global geopolitics. It signaled the decline of traditional European colonial influence and the rise of new global power dynamics. Egypt retains control of the canal, establishing it as a symbol of national sovereignty rather than foreign dominance. From that point onward, the canal was firmly embedded in Middle Eastern and global geopolitics. Economically, the Suez Canal is one of the most critical trade corridors in the world. A significant share of global maritime trade passes through it each year, including consumer goods, raw materials, industrial components. The canal is especially important for energy markets. Large volumes of oil and liquefied natural gas move through the canal or its associated pipelines. Linking producers in the Middle East with consumers in Europe, the importance of the canal is not defined only by how much passes through it, but also by how dependent global systems have become on uninterrupted flows. Modern supply chains are highly optimized and time-sensitive. Even short disruptions can lead to cascading effects across industries, from manufacturing delays to energy price spikes. This vulnerability became highly visible in 2021. When a single container ship ran aground and blocked the canal for several days, that incident demonstrated the canal's systemic importance. Hundreds of ships were delayed, global shipping schedules were disrupted, and economic losses mounted quickly. Some vessels were forced to reroute around Africa, highlighting how costly and inefficient alternatives can be. The event also revealed how fragile global trade networks are when they rely on narrow choke points. From a geopolitical perspective, the Suez Canal is a classic example of a strategic choke point. A choke point is a narrow passage through which a large share of global trade or military traffic must pass. Such locations concentrate power and risk. Whoever controls or influences these points can affect global commerce and security far beyond their borders. Egypt's role in this context is central. The canal is a major source of revenue for the Egyptian state, generating billions of dollars annually through transit fees. This income supports public finances and strengthens Egypt's geopolitical relevance. As a result, Egypt has strong incentives to maintain the canal's security, reliability, and international credibility. However, its location also makes it vulnerable. Modern security challenges have become increasingly severe. For instance, since late 2023, attacks by Houthi rebels in the Red Sea, targeting commercial vessels, have caused major disruptions. These attacks have forced many shipping companies to suspend travel through the Red Sea and take the longer, more expensive route around Africa. This has led to a dramatic drop in canal traffic and revenue for Egypt. In response, international naval forces, such as the EU's Operation Aspides, have been deployed to protect the vital shipping lanes, underscoring the canal's global strategic importance. These security threats, combined with the risk of accidents like the 2021 blockage, highlight the profound fragility of this critical choke point and the global supply chains that depend on it. The Suez Canal is also closely linked to broader Middle Eastern geopolitics. Regional conflicts, tensions in the Red Sea, and instability in neighboring countries all have the potential to affect shipping through the canal. International naval forces regularly operate in nearby waters to protect commercial shipping, underscoring the canal's global significance. In recent decades, Egypt has invested heavily in expanding and modernizing the canal. New sections and parallel channels have been built to allow two-way traffic and reduce waiting times. These investments are not only economic decisions, but also strategic ones, aimed at preserving the canal's competitiveness in a changing global shipping environment. At the same time, the canal faces long-term challenges. One of them is competition from alternative routes. The northern sea route across the Arctic, for example, has attracted attention as climate change reduces ice coverage. While this route remains seasonal and limited, it represents a potential future alternative for some trade flows between Europe and Asia. Another challenge comes from shifts in global trade patterns. Changes in manufacturing hubs, energy transitions, and regionalization of supply chains could alter traffic volumes over time. Nevertheless, the Suez Canal's geographic advantage remains unmatched for most shipping routes connecting Europe, Asia, and Africa. The canal also plays a role in military strategy. Naval forces from multiple countries use the canal to move between theaters of operation. Control over access and transit rules is therefore a matter of international interest. While the canal is governed by international conventions that guarantee passage, political realities always influence how such rules are applied in practice. The Suez Canal highlights a broader lesson about geopolitics in a globalized world. Physical geography still matters, even in an era of digital communication and advanced technology. Narrow waterways, ports, and infrastructure nodes can shape international relations as much as ideology or economics. Looking to the future, the canal's importance is likely to persist. Global trade continues to rely heavily on maritime transport, and no realistic alternative can fully replace the efficiency of the Suez route. As long as ships move goods between continents, the canal will remain a focal point of economic and strategic attention. At the same time, the canal will continue to reflect global trends. Climate change, geopolitical rivalry, and economic transformation will all influence how it is used and perceived. The challenge for Egypt and the international community will be to balance sovereignty, security, and openness in a way that keeps global trade flowing. The Suez Canal may appear on the map as a thin blue line, but its impact on the world is enormous. It connects continents, shapes economies, and influences power relations across the globe. Understanding the geopolitics of the Suez Canal helps explain not only how global trade works, but also why geography remains one of the most powerful forces in international affairs. That concludes our look at the geopolitics of the Suez Canal. A narrow strip of water, shaped by geography and history, continues to influence global trade, security, international relations far beyond its borders. If you found this explanation useful, consider subscribing to World Explained for more clear, structured breakdowns of countries, regions, and the systems that shape our world. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.